Okay, now we are in Argentina, in Mar
Yeah,
del
in Mar del
Plata.
Plata in 71. And this was my second Mar del Plata. I think the first one was in 65. And here I played against Poch. He was an international master from Argentina, young enough and very aggressive. He tried to complicate the game. He played a very complicated line from the Grünfeld. And White had to react very well. And the game will be very instructive because it will be, very important theoretically also. Okay, and everything is theory, of course. So, okay, bishop g7, castle, castle. No. And here white has to decide, plays with d3, bishop e3, queen c1, or d4. d4 is the most normal line, d4. And now, after d4, knight a6, the idea is clear for black. It seems that he comes with the knight in a very unusual position, but knight a6 is a good line. He prepares now the idea with c6, knight c7, later on trying to control the squares d5 and d6, and trade the knight from f3 with bishop g4. This is the plan for black, you see. So, okay, now if white tries to do something, has to put the bishop somewhere. If you come immediately with bishop f4, is a little bit better for white, but not much. So b3 is probably better because white now has two ideas, bishop a3 or bishop b2. Okay. So he played c6, bishop b2, and knight c7. Until now everything is okay. Now queen c2. White has to react like this because if you play immediately e4, after bishop g4 is unclear the position, instead of queen c2. But now after queen c2, black can provoke the move e4, and he played well, a5 first. Now white played normally rook d1, of course, on the d file, and now bishop f5 again. If you want something, you have to play e4. Okay, e4. And now, okay, e4, bishop g4, but he has the possibility to attack somehow the weak pawn from d4. Now what to do? h3, normal. Now h3, you give the pawn, but it's not good for black to take the pawn because he's probably lost afterwards. Now if he takes in d4, after knight e2 is much, much better for white. Yeah. So, okay, of course he doesn't take. Queen c8, bishop g2 first, and now rook d8. Now everything is clear. Now you have to move something with white. What to do? Now this is a very difficult decision because you give the square d5 for black. But in the meantime, you have also very nice diagonal for the white bishop from g2. And for the moment, the bishop from g7 doesn't play for not too much, let's say. So white is better, but black has counterplay, here. So knight e6, he controls immediately the squares. Knight e4, you don't give the pawn. No. Knight e4 is the best move. And of course, now he can move on the other side, a4. He tries to open a little bit the game on the queen side. h4. Wait, h4 is provocative because now gives black the impression that he can play for win. You see? That he has a small initiative. Okay, so he took, and now I didn't take back with the pawn. If I take back with the pawn, maybe white has a little bit, but not much at all. Because, for instance, after a takes b3, knight d5, and black has a strong position. It's almost impossible to break through. But after queen takes b3, the game is very complicated, and gives black the impression that he can play himself for win. Yeah. And of course, he couldn't resist the impression, and he played this, risky move, rook d5. Now it's clear you can't take the knight because you lose the queen. If you take in b5, in b6, rook b5, and the queen is lost.
Is trapped.
Yeah. So of course, white plays something else.
But this rook is coming to double here, or
No, the rook provokes it to do something. Now
okay.
he leaves the knight, but you can't take the knight. If you
Yes,
take
yes,
the
yes.
knight, you lost immediately. The queen is lost.
But was
Okay?
was better to put the knight on d5?
Probably, yes, probably. It's better for white, but not so much. And now with knight c3, we prepare the next combination. The rook is attacked, and he has to move something. But now if he takes in d4, it's much better for white because you can give at least the rook for 2 pieces. If he takes with the knight in d4, you can take first in b6 or you can take first in d4. In both cases, much better for white. So, what did he play?
He
He played rook a5. Now, again, he gives you the possibility to play something tactically and maybe a small mistake. He's provoking a small mistake. And now, unfortunately for him, the game is much better for white,
okay.
And now white has to take a decision what to do. Of course, white has a very pleasant position here. At least he can win the exchange if he wants immediately. Knight takes d5.
Yes.
But we'll see. It's not so easy, but it's complicated, of course, in white's favor. All right. So I took the queen with queen takes b6. Now we give the possibility to open completely the game, but in white's favor, or have a very complicated position, but winning the exchange makes a very big difference. So now, from now on, everything is forced, So he played rook b5. Now we have to take. He takes, and now queen a7. We have one case, but it's enough, and we have the exchange. White won the exchange by force, by force. He gave the exchange. I mean, he gave the possibility to take, some advantage here. All right, so he took back, and now it seems that black has a good counterplay because has finally the pawns on black, the knight in a good position, maybe a good counterplay on the central pawns, d4 and d5, but it's not enough because everything will be very quick. So now rook b1, everything is for. Now he has to trade rooks, you see. Now he takes, now I took, he was already in time trouble, and the only move here is to play knight d8, because if he loses the pawn from b7 to tempo, everything is finished, Of course, now probably I could open completely the game by playing the move d5, but I didn't want to give the pawn e5 because he was already in time trouble, and white can win in some other way with the bishop closed already, in g7. So I played queen b6 first. Now it's almost zugzwang again. It's very easy to win, but we have to realize, queen b6, e6, the only moves. So now a4. In some position, we are threatening a5, a6, and the pawns will be very weak. But okay, a5. He played king g7. Has to wait now. Queen a7, and
I think he resigned here.
he resigned because now the threat is clear. We are threatening a6. He takes in a6, rook b8, and he loses the queen.
So
the threat is after queen a7, a6. I mean, he plays something,
Okay.
a6, for instance. a6, yeah. It's zugzwang completely.
Yes.
a6 takes and rook b8, and the queen is lost.
Oh, okay.
You see? He wanted to come with some tactical idea, but it was a catastrophe because finally in such a position he has no moves. You see? And why? Because white has a better development, better activity for his pieces, and in the meantime, he could control the central squares. And it was clear, finally. We exchange up, it's too little. You can't have a good counterplay with only a few pieces on board,
So the tactics are not enough.
Yeah, it was not enough, of course. It was a very interesting line for black, but not enough, of course.
Super.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
You're
Gheorghiu.
welcome. A good example like this.